USNI News just reported that the U.S. Navy's fleet of T-45s has been grounded due to an engine fault that was discovered earlier this month. The Navy's 193 Goshawks, which are used to train American Navy and Marine Corps tactical jet pilots, are now in a quote-unquote safety pause following an engine blade fault discovered during a pre-flight check on October 11th at Naval Air Station Kingsville in Texas. A subsequent engineering analysis of the Rolls-Royce Turbo Mieka F405 RR401 engine prompted the grounding of the T-45 fleet by Sinatra, which is an acronym for the Chief of Naval Air Training, a billet currently held by Rear Admiral Richard Brophy. Rear Admiral John Lemon, who's in charge of tactical aircraft programs at the Naval Air Systems Command, gave the following statement, quote, "The Naval Undergraduate Flight Training Systems Program Office, Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, Chief of Naval Air Training, and Fleet Support Team have been working around the clock with industry partner Rolls-Royce to identify the root cause of the recent T-45 engine blade failure. Engineering analysis has been underway and will continue until we can safely return the T-45 fleet to a flying status to support Sinatra's training," end quote. An interesting side note is that Rear Admiral Lemon bailed out of an E-2C Hawkeye he was piloting following an airborne engine fire in 1991, a very rare feat in naval aviation. So now student naval aviators and student naval flight officers are working around the T-45C grounding by attending more classroom instruction and simulator training. The T-45 Goshawk is basically a British Aerospace Hawk Mark 60 with stronger landing gear, an airframe that can take catapult launches and 700 foot per minute descent rate landings, and other necessary gear for carrier ops like a launch bar, which required a two-wheel nose gear, and of course an arresting hook. Slow speed stability for flight around the carrier landing pattern was improved by side-mounted speed brakes, a longer tail fin, squared-off wings, and leading-edge slats. In the early 90s, the T-45 replaced both of the airplanes that I happened to ride around in during flight school, which are the T-2 Buckeye and the TA-4J Skyhawk II. The Goshawk fleet started with an analog version which gave way to a digital C model that was introduced in 1997. The T-45s are used for pilot training out of NAS Meridian in Mississippi and NAS Kingsville in Texas, as well as naval flight officer training out of NAS Pensacola in Florida for future weapons system officers who will fly the Super Hornet and electronic warfare officers who will fly the Growler. The T-45 fleet was previously grounded in 2017 because of a problem with the jet's onboard oxygen generation system, known as OBOGs, that caused pilots to feel sick during flights. The problem was chased by engineers for about 3 years, and lack of pilot output became an issue for both the Navy and Marine Corps. In fact, at one point, 100 flight instructors staged a strike of sorts, refusing to fly because they felt the airplane's oxygen system was unsafe. The Navy reacted with a 3-day safety stand-down and made the decision to mitigate the lack of pilot training by allowing flights of the T-45 under 10,000 feet. Finally, the Navy released a report that stated while the air coming out of the OBOGs was clean, in some flight profiles the engine wasn't putting out much air, meaning the OBOGs wasn't taking in much air to purify, and therefore the aircrew temporarily weren't getting as much air out of OBOGs. In two relatively simple changes, the engineering team recommended straightening out what had been an angled pipe to bring air from the engine to the OBOGs, increasing overall airflow, as well as altering the engine to increase the rotations per minute so it would spin faster and provide more air to OBOGs. Overall, Sinatra trains about 1,100 pilots a year, so a grounding like this is a serious issue in terms of pilot demand that the fleet needs, but of course safety comes first. And if it seems like you've heard a lot about groundings on this channel lately, it's because you have. In the last 2 months, we've reported on groundings of the F-35 due to an ejection seat component issue, the CV-22, which is the Air Force Special Operations version of the Osprey, due to a clutch slippage problem, and the CH-47 Chinook due to fuel leaks that caused engine fires. None of these groundings appear to be linked, and the fact that they happened in semi-rapid succession appears to be coincidental. More on this situation as the information becomes available, so if you're not already a subscriber, click the button and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. And if you'd like to help support the channel, please consider using the super thanks, the heart icon below, or become a patron at patreon.com/wardcarroll. In the meantime, I look forward to talking to you again very soon.